If they try and tell you that two men can do just as good a job as two women, you know they're denying the truth. Men are not the same as women, and women are not the same as men. If they say they are, then say, well, then why don't you just pick someone from the opposite sex if we're all equal for your sexual partner? Why are you even involved in same-sex relationships then? If men and women are interchangeable, why don't you just pick a woman and stop all this political fighting? If you're a man. If you're a woman, why don't you just pick a man if they're interchangeable? Because you know they're not interchangeable. That's why you want to sleep with somebody of the same sex, because you know they're different from somebody of the opposite sex. So, when it comes to parenting, kids are just going to have to put up with what we give them, but when it comes to your sexual relationships, you got to get who you need to get, right? You can see why this whole argument that they bring up has nothing to do with parenting. They don't care about the kids here. Children are going to be treated as trophies. What is a child going to do to his homosexual relationship? Validate it. We have kids now just like you. What's more beneficial to a society, endorsing homosexuality or endorsing good parenting? You cannot endorse both. That's what David Blankenhorn said in his book, The Future of Marriage. He said, look, I'm pro-gay and all this, but we cannot endorse same-sex marriage because it means that we will be degrading parenting. We can't do it. Parenting's too important. Should the government endorse harmful behavior if it doesn't get a harmful result 5% of the time? That's the exception argument. Well, I see this couple over here, they're doing fine. Should we endorse that? 95% of the time we get a bad result, but 5% of the time the result isn't as bad, so we should endorse it? Is that what you're saying? How about, is there any difference between religion and morality? Yes. Religion, our duty to God. Morality, our duty to one another. Nobody's telling you how, when, where, if to worship. We don't care whether you believe in God or not. Well, we do care. But we're not going to try and force that on you, as Robin said before. You can't. We're not trying to force that. But we are trying to create laws that benefit society. Our Constitution starts this way. It starts that we, the people, trying to create a more perfect union and for the general welfare. These are the terms used in the first line or so of the Constitution. We do that because we know that the government is designed to protect people from evil. That's what the government's primary purpose is. By the way, if a patient is sick, will giving him another disease help heal him? Normally not. You see, this is the argument. They say, well, you've already blown marriage by divorce. Why don't we just get same-sex marriage in there too? Because by giving marriage another disease, in other words, by making it the equivalent of same-sex marriage, that's not going to help. Let's get rid of the first disease instead of adding another one. Here are the final questions. What is the primary purpose of government? I just mentioned it. What is the primary purpose of government? Ask them. What is the purpose of government? The purpose of government is benefit the people, protect the people from evil. That's the number one role of government. In other words, anarchy would destroy people. We've got to make sure that we have a government that rewards the good and punishes the evil. So the two last questions you can ask are, what would be the effects on society if everyone lived faithfully in traditional marriage? We talked about this last week. What would be the effects on society? We would have none of these social problems we've already talked about. We'd have much lower crime. People would, society anyway, would be in much better shape overall, but question 3 should really nail it home. What would be the effects on society if everyone lived faithfully in same-sex marriage? It would be the end of society. That's one, if that doesn't sum it up, I don't know what does. You must exalt traditional relationships over same-sex relationships. Have to. Otherwise, society ends. Conclusion. Don't let emotions cloud good reason. Same-sex marriage would not be good for individuals or societies. It will have negative effects on traditional marriage children, the general public, and homosexuals themselves. However, traditional marriage is beneficial to everyone. It's our national immune system. Therefore, the state should not promote traditional marriage, or should promote traditional marriage and not endorse same-sex marriage or civil unions. Civil unions is still public government endorsement of destructive behavior. The only thing necessary for evil to prevail is for good men to do nothing, as Edmund Burke said. Christians have been doing nothing on this issue. You don't even have to be a Christian to be against this issue, to be against same-sex marriage. You just got to be somebody of good reason to say, hey, this is not a good thing overall. So we need to do something. Here are the web resources I mentioned before, just so you can have them there. All right, folks, thanks for listening. I know it's a tough issue. You really got to pray for people who are involved in it, and pray for yourself, too, because you have issues that you deal with, just like I have issues that I deal with. And pray that we all stay away from sin, not just homosexuals or people involved in homosexuality, but that we stay away from sin as well.